Let's officially say welcome to Tool versus Tool, brought by Startup Show San Diego, a startup TV show about startup companies where you can watch it on TV, catch it on YouTube, read about it, press release, listen to it on podcast, chat with us on webinar, interact with social media, and explore online with web pages and story maps. And today we've got Randy Gerson and Krista Eon, two well-known personalities in the San Diego area for one of their free Marketing Mondays at Evo Nexus in San Diego and also up at Irvine. And it's free information, great information, free parking, and free beer and pizza. So you can't do better than that. But they've got both extensive backgrounds, all the way from corporate to running startups. I know Chris is doing a startup right now. Randy's so they all have experience being in startups, supporting in startups, working with corporate entities, everything from Intuit, TurboTax, and IBM and Xerox, and all those kind of stuff. So I'm going to let you guys take it away. So I'm mostly just going to be in the background, but maybe Chris, if you could tell us, Randy, if you could tell us why we're doing competitive analysis, and Chris, if you could talk about the tools, then I'll just let you share and take it away.
Sure. Well, one of the main reasons to do a competitive analysis is really kind of, and I always tell people to find out really where you fit in the market, and in this case, we're going to show technologies of websites and what people build them with. It's really to find out, as a startup, are you approaching this from the right angle? A good example of that is if you build a website on like a Wix.com, very popular website builder, the technologies there are very hard, and they're getting better to take that website and move it over to a WordPress site or move it over to another technology to add an app to that. So as a startup, sometimes you want to think about who your most competitor is and find out what technologies they're using so you can actually compete in the market. A good sports analogy would be if you want to be a professional football player and you know that you need to go to certain gyms, do certain types of workouts. The best football players do these kind of diets. And so you want to compete with those type of football players versus be just an average player. No startup wants to be average, I would think. You want to find out what the best are doing and how they did it so you can either model after that or model something similar. And that's just one. There's many aspects of why to do competitive face-offs, but that's definitely one of the major ones to position yourself best for success. And Chris, you can pipe in and add some more to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, one of the other things about competitive analysis is what can you learn from your competitors or companies in your category so that you don't have to learn it. In other words, they've already spent the time, money, and energy on learning something. So, whether it's they've learned that this technology is better than others or that they've learned that there's a better market over here than over there.
Is that kind of like when I worked for a large geospatial company, and one of the customers used to use detailed analysis to figure out where to put their burger restaurants, and then another one would just wait till they put one there, then move one down the street.
Yeah, that's one. That's a good one. The other one too, Chris, to take the opposite angle of that, and you and I talked about this before, is find out if one of your competitors isn't doing well, what technology not to use. And so you can learn from the mistakes of others as well as the successes. And one thing we always say in startups, the best thing to do is learn. You got to measure failures and successes so you can measure your competitors' failures and successes to learn what to do right the first time and also what not to do.
So one of the thoughts that is right now is in January, right after January 1st, a lot of people are thinking about getting healthy again, right? That is a trend. How do we know it's a trend? How can we prove it's a trend? One of the tools that we look at when looking at trends is Alexa. So Alexa is a very popular tool that's been around for probably as long as the internet, and it is owned by Amazon. And if I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right here, I can show you what this technology So can people see my site right now? And you can see jennycraig.com right here.
We don't. We see the screen to screen, so you must be looking at the webinar screen.
Actually, it just worked, Chris. It lighted up on mine, so it's
Okay.
clear now.
There it goes.
Okay, good. Just takes a second. So first of all, what Alexa does is it scrapes information from every single website out there, and it ranks them. So right here, you're going to see Alexa. I typed in Jenny Craig, and it says here that Jenny Craig's statistics is estimating that their rank of Jenny Craig's website means it's the 27,963 largest website in the United States. Although it's not going to give you an exact count of their traffic, it does do an estimation of what it believes its traffic is month by month. You can see here in January and February, March, and April that the website does a lot of traffic and then starts going down over time with a bottoming out of, oh boy, it bottoms out in November and December and then starts coming back up, with it coming back up again in January, right?
And Chris, if I could pipe in just to kind of get people like, what can you do with that data? What trends you see there is, Chris was mentioning fitness is big on people's mind, New Year's resolution to get in shape. And you can see when the holidays come, and we all are guilty of this, we totally abandon our physicality and our fitness over the holidays for many reasons. Me personally, I'm not going to fight it. I'm a dessert monster, and there's going to be more desserts than I've ever seen between Thanksgiving and Christmas, plus all the packages people send your family. So it's kind of hard to resist when it's all in front of you, and that's why a lot of companies that are in the fitness industry or weight loss, like a Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers, you'll see a very similar trend. And so it's just, you can see the human behavior, you can kind of estimate that behind these trends. I just wanted to add that in, Chris. That's how it's useful for competition. So let's say you were a fitness company, you wouldn't want to try to start testing your stuff during the holidays. It'd be the worst time of the year to do a test. You might want to try in the first quarter where you're going to get a rise and ride the wave with everybody else, that rising tide.
Right. So here you can see typically what we end up doing is entering in multiple domain names to find trends. So you can see Jenny Craig had this same kind of graph as Weight Watchers. So you know that it's not just the website that is websites marketing campaigns that are driving that. It's also just simply a trend, right? You can also see here that the Weight Watchers website is the 1,000th largest website in the nation, which means it gets a lot more traffic than Jenny Craig, which gives you an idea of which company is larger, both globally and in the United States. You can click on another button there. It says find websites similar to this. It's another way to find competitors of competitors, as it's continuing to do. So it's finding other websites that have similar type of traffic. Oh boy, some of this seems a little bizarre right in here. But this is a good way, or a way, to look at competitive websites. Now, Alexa makes money by through its subscribers. So it offers a full-featured competitive analysis tool, but at least you can get some basic information free. Okay, so you can see they sell the advanced plan here. Years ago, a lot of that was free. Now they're selling it. Here you can see what their bounce rate is, how many page views per day they have, and the time spent on site. Here you can get more detailed look into where they're getting their traffic from, and this is SEO traffic, not just all traffic, and what keywords people are typing in to find that website. The top keywords happen to be their brand name, Weight Watchers. Who found Weight Watchers? Weight Watchers login, Weight Watchers, mostly their brand names, you can see. And then you can see where their which websites are driving them the most traffic, which is Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Bing. Again, all this is free. At least it gives you the ability to get some free, easy information. You can see what pages are the most popular on Weight Watchers. You can see here cmx.weightwatchers.com is one of the most trafficked pages, and we can go to that page to see what it is. It looks like it's a login page.
Yeah,
we get a lot of repeat visitors.
Yeah, I would suspect, Chris, that's probably one of the pages once you're logged in, because that was the third largest place from the before, and so that would show these people behind the scenes
when you're log in to see it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're going to see your weight loss plan, your goals. I've been in this before in Weight Watchers. I can kind of tell you what's in there. It's a nice dashboard for the consumer. And the reason Weight Watchers, and this is good to know if you're in this sector, Weight Watchers pushes a lot of traffic to their website. Where Jenny Craig has a different approach, a different way they're going about it. And so that's another reason you can see that traffic difference. And as a startup, you can say, oh, okay, I have two different business models and weight loss out there, attacking it differently, both big entities. And obviously, we all know Weight Watchers have been around a long time. Any of us that are a little older, like Chris and I, know that probably our moms and maybe our grandparents were on Weight Watchers. But that's how long it's been around, where Jenny Craig's a fairly new player, although they've been around quite a while.
Right. You'll notice here at the very bottom, you get a little bit of a peek into their demographics. Female, some college, but not necessarily. And looks like they might be getting a lot of students, too. You can see that people are accessing the Weight Watchers website from school. Versus you can go in here and type in Jenny Craig to see if it happens to be different. Takes a little second to pull it up. And then Jenny Craig, you can see, I'm going to just scroll all the way back down to the bottom. You can see still females, a little bit more higher education, and a lot less students. So they must have some kind of program targeting students.
And that's a good point, Chris, to make, because when you're entering the competitive marketplace, you see similarities in the demographic, yet you see a split there with the school between Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers. So obviously Weight Watchers is either testing or finding out that they can bring people aboard at the school level. And so there could be a couple different strategies there that you could theorize, and then you could actually test within your own company if you were a startup.
Next tool that we're going to take a peek into is something called Built With. Built With is a website you can go to access a bunch of free information. But this website will give you a full rundown of the technology used by your competitors or other companies. So, for example, let's continue with the Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers, you can just type in right here, I spelled it right. There we go. WeightWatchers.com. What this tool does is it pings the servers at WeightWatchers.com and identifies what technology they may be using, from everything from web services to email marketing automation and more. So, for example, you can tell that Weight Watchers is using a Microsoft back-end system. Scrolling down, you can see they have Akamai, which is a hosting providers to ensure that their delivery of their information is fast. Scrolling down more, I can see that they're using Microsoft Exchange Online with SPF, which is an email system, and Mailgun, and wow, they're using a lot of different email systems. It's telling me that's a big company that's using a lot of things. They're using Drupal for their content management system. Cart functionality, oh, that's something else. You can see for advertising, they're using DoubleClick, AppNexus, Trade Desk. They're using a lot of different systems, including Facebook custom audiences. So they're doing some Facebook advertising and more. Rubicon is a larger company that does advertising. It's like an advertising agency that pushes a lot of ads. So, but look at all this information you can get on your competitors or other companies pretty fast. Also, it kind of can tell you how much money they're spending or if they're doing A/B split testing. So right here, Optimizely does A/B split testing. Crazy Egg is like Hotjar. It does eye tracking.
Yeah, and Chris, really quickly for those out there that may not be full marketers, when we talk about A/B split testing, that's testing the 4 top things in marketing and direct marketing, which is your target audience, your offer. So they could be testing offer A versus offer B. They could be testing creative A versus creative B, meaning actually a picture where the ads are all the exact identical except the picture is different. And so that's what Optimizely does really well. It enables you to test different things to see what people are responding to at a very granular basis.
Something else that's interesting is if you're in the technology space, this system will find out how many companies are using that technology. For example, let's just say how many e-commerce companies are using Shopify for their e-commerce shopping cart? Or actually, let's use something called like MailChimp, which a lot of people know. How many companies are using MailChimp? So I'm going right in here into usage statistics, clicking on this button, and this will tell me how many companies specifically are using MailChimp by month. Okay. There's another way. Oh, it will also, you can see there's 22,500 companies using it by month. There was a dip here, either that's something wrong in their calculation or something happened. You can also download a leads list. Okay, I'm actually on a webinar and I'm giving a presentation. So, so there's a leads list right here. If I click this button, it downloads all email addresses of companies using MailChimp onto your system right now. You have to pay for that. It's about $220, but that's possible.
And this is great for people to see because Chris and I get asked a lot in the startup community, which CRM should I use and why? Which email engine should I use? Where should I build my website? I mean, really very general questions that there's no one answer for. But what's great about Built With and how Chris and I use it is to see what the trends are and to see one thing like MailChimp's a good example. If a lot of companies are using a certain email engine over another, then you know probably, especially in the startup community, you put startup engines in it, you know that that's probably one easy to use, inexpensive, and works well. When you start seeing the larger companies use those same email engines, you really know they can help you with growth. So it means you can scale your company from a couple people to a large company based on what they use. That good example, Chris, when you saw Weight Watchers, you saw some pretty good Microsoft power behind the Weight Watchers website. And so they had a lot of backbone Microsoft, plus, like Chris mentioned, a lot of other things built in. So go ahead, Chris. I thought I'd just mention that because that's a good thing people ask a lot of.
I typed in the word Hubspot, which is one of the larger marketing automation engines. This tells you right here that 76% of the HubSpot companies using HubSpots reside in the United States. They're 6.42% in Great Britain, etc. Continuing on, it also says that HubSpot is losing its market share to Rapleaf. So they can tell, are gaining customers from Rapleaf. So they can identify that a company was using HubSpot or was using Rapleaf and is now using HubSpot. Or they can see that companies are moving from HubSpot to Pardot here in this red column, or Marketo, or LeadIn, or Rapleaf, or Infusionsoft. Again, all this information is free.
Hey, Chris, pull back on that. There's something interesting I want to point out to the crowd about those graphs that you had there, the red and the green. If you noticed on the, down a little lower, Chris, if you noticed on the gaining versus losing, you notice there's two names that are repetitive in green and red. Both, what is that, Lean? Down a little further, Chris, because I lost it on the screen. There it is, LeadIn and Rapleaf are both on the top 4 of red and green. And when you look at that, you're saying, what's going on there? What that kind of tells you these two companies are doing is they're dogfighting it for market share. So when you see in those top 4 the same names on both sides, HubSpot and Rapleaf, you can see Rapleaf, they're losing a quarter of their customers to Rapleaf, but they're gaining a bunch at the top. So they're fighting heavily with Rapleaf, and Rapleaf is spending money to fight back. Same with Lead In, where you see Pardo and Marketo, especially Marketo, is very low on the green list. And so it's something good to know that you can take this data and kind of extrapolate it in your head and figure out kind of what these two companies are up to, or three that are fighting it out in this market space.
And here you can see Lead In as a new company. It looks like they started around 2015 with only 19 companies using it and jumping up. So Lead In is a brand new competitor that entered the market. Versus Rapleaf, it looks like it really started to kick in 2015. Some of the others have been around for a little longer, like Marketo, or actually, it looks like Rapleaf was around. This is, I'm sorry, this right here is them gaining customers from it versus losing customers from these companies, and how many are being gained or lost. So you can see the wealth of information that comes from Built With, again, all for free. If you're in the technology or app space, this may become a real important tool for you to use.
And so, and Chris, do we want to show anything else, or I think that's a good...
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. So, you know, between Alexa, finding out about your competitors, and Built With, you can get a lot of information, like Chris mentioned, very easily, very on the inexpensive side, which makes you lean and mean as a startup. And we always say this, as a startup company, there are, if you go back 10 years ago, these tools, a lot of them weren't available. Some were, but in the last 10 years, and especially last 5, Chris and I have noticed a surgence of technology tools and competitive tools that enable us as startups, because Chris does have a startup and I've had a few myself, be able to do things like this, where before this would be a very tough research project. You'd have to be guessing along the way, which costs money. And so this makes you what we call a lean, mean startup. And so week to week, we are going to be showing tool versus tool to give you that competitive edge as a startup. And so Chris and I are very happy and always proud to present these tools for free to you, the startup public. Chris and I are giving back to the startup community because so many people have given to us in our careers earlier. So more than happy to answer questions and things. And we appreciate Eric being able to put this up and allowing us to have another venue to give you such great information that hopefully you can use to win.
Well, so Marketing Mondays talks about the why. Here's what you do. Here's what you need to do. Here's the strategies. Here's the tactics. But you don't have a lot of time to get into any tools because there's so much information. This is the time to actually take the tools rather than just give a quick overview. So summing up, who's going to use Alexa? Who's going to use Built With, and when? How would you summarize all that up?
Yep, Chris, I'll let you go.
Typically, early stage companies that want to identify trends and opportunities will take a look at Alexa. Companies at any stage that wants to know what kind of technology is currently being used by their competitors will use Built With. Companies that are targeting technology companies and are looking for good quality leads may use Built With.
Yep, and that's a good summary, Chris. My add to that, like from a sales perspective, if you're a startup and you're in charge of sales, bringing on the customers, something like Alexa could really tell you what your competitors are up to and help you develop good strategies to theorize, to test coming out of the gate, instead of trying to throw everything up against the wall to see what sticks. And so without knowing technology, Alexa is a great website for strategy for a startup.
Very good. So doing this every couple weeks, do we know what we're comparing next? Or, or do we leave that as a surprise?
We'll leave it as a surprise.
All right.
Surprise. All right, guys. Hey, I want to thank everyone for listening. And Eric, I'll let you kind of make some closing remarks.
Yeah. So if you want to find out what the comparison is next time, go ahead and go to startupshowsd.com. That's startupshowsd.com. You can register for the email list. You can also catch us on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook.
And then one last remark, I want to invite you all, like Eric said, come to Marketing Mondays. We house that at Evo Nexus Downtown Incubator. It's a meetup group. Just go to the evonexus.com website, and you can see our sessions. .org. You can see our sessions for San Diego, which we do about every other month. And then we also take the same topic up to UCI Irvine, to the Vine and show the startup companies there as well.
Yeah, the login for those on the chat is in the chat for the Evo Nexus /event/marketing Mondays Evo Nexus is there. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.